So the most dangerous program running on your computer right now is probably one you specifically gave permission to install.
Right. Which is wild to think about.
It is. I mean, think about that for a second. When did you last open your browser and, actually look at what extensions are installed?
For most people listening, I mean, the honest answer is never.
Yeah.
We treat web browsers like kitchen appliances, right?
Yep.
You turn it on, you expect it to work, and you definitely don't take it apart to see what's living inside the motor.
Exactly. And because we never look under the hood, there is a very high probability that something is sitting in your browser right now that you did not put there.
Yeah, a digital hitchhiker, basically.
Right. So today, we're going on a mission to investigate these invisible hitchhikers. We are drawing our intel from this really great deep dive, a set of field reports and technical breakdowns put together by the IT experts at Cowabunga. Computers.
They're a team based out on Oahu, right?
Yeah, exactly, Oahu. And they deal with this stuff on the front lines every single day. So we're going to uncover exactly how these hidden programs get in, what they're quietly doing while you browse, and, of course, how to permanently evict them.
Which is such a vital investigation because,
Ah.
the way we think about cybersecurity is just fundamentally outdated at this point.
How so?
Well, we picture our computer security like a medieval castle. We install an antivirus program and we think, okay, that's the moat. That's the castle wall.
Right, the alarm system.
Exactly. We assume if a threat tries to get in, the alarms will blare, the gates close, and we're safe. But these malicious browser extensions, they completely bypass the castle walls because they don't actually break in.
Okay, let's unpack that, because it's the core of why these things are so sneaky. Think of traditional malware, right? Like a Trojan or a computer worm.
Really nasty stuff.
Yeah, think of that as a burglar kicking down your front door. It's loud, it makes a mess of your operating system, and your antivirus catches it immediately and throws it in quarantine. But a malicious browser add-on is completely different. It's like a rogue roommate who quietly moved into your kitchen cupboards.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Thanks. I mean, they already live inside the house. You technically invited them in at some point, so the alarm system never goes off when they start eating all your food.
That hits the nail on the head regarding the actual technical architecture of your computer.
Okay.
See, your operating system, so Windows or Mac OS, that's the house. Your antivirus software is the security guard walking the halls, checking files, scanning your download.
Right, doing the rounds?
Exactly. But your web browser, like Chrome or Edge or Firefox, it operates as this deeply isolated environment. In software terms, we call it a sandbox.
A sandbox.
Yeah, it's almost like a sovereign nation completely within your computer.
So wait, the antivirus guard looks at the browser and just assumes everything happening inside there is none of its business.
In many cases, yeah. The guard sees Google Chrome using a lot of memory and just says, well, that's just Chrome doing Chrome things. Yeah, and browser extensions are designed specifically to plug into that isolated sandbox to add legitimate features. We all use them, right? Password managers, ad blockers.
Camera checkers, yeah.
Right. A malicious extension uses that exact same approved architecture. It plays by the rules of the browser, so it avoids interacting with the deep operating system, which basically renders your traditional security tools virtually blind to it.
Which is a super unsettling thought when you consider that the browser is where we spend, 90% of our day?
At least.
So if the automated security guard isn't going to sound the alarm, we have to recognize the subtle red flags ourselves. Looking at the field data from the Cowabunga team, the symptoms aren't always glaring error messages.
No, rarely.
Often it just starts with your computer feeling incredibly heavy and sluggish. You click a tab, and the whole system just drags. But why does a tiny browser extension cause that much lag?
It really comes down to resource theft.
Yeah.
Because the code inside these malicious extensions is rarely optimized. I mean, the developers do not care about your battery life.
Obviously not.
They're running intense background scripts. In some cases, they're literally hijacking your computer's processing power to mine cryptocurrency.
Wait, really? Mining crypto on my laptop?
Yeah, for the attackers. In other cases, they're running massive tracking arrays, just vacuuming up data on every single movement your mouse makes on a web page. All those calculations require CPU cycles and memory. So your browser feels like it's walking through mud because it's secretly carrying this massive, invisible boulder.
That makes total sense. You're feeling the physical weight of the hidden processing.
Exactly.
Okay, so the next symptom the source highlights is search hijacking.
Oh, this is a big one.
Yeah, so you go to your address bar, you type in a quick search for, I don't know, a recipe or a news article, And instead of taking you to Google or Bing, the browser flashes for a second and redirects you to some bizarre search engine you've never heard of,
Right.
and the results are completely flooded with sketchy paid links.
Yeah, it's a highly lucrative monetization tactic.
Yeah.
The creators of these extensions have these affiliate deals with shady advertising networks.
So they're getting a cut.
Yeah. When you type in a search, you're demonstrating intent. You want to go to point A. The extension intercepts that intent, hijacks the steering wheel, and forcibly reroutes you through a digital toll booth at point B.
A toll booth?
Yeah, because every time they force you through that weird search engine, they collect a fraction of a cent from advertisers.
They are literally monetizing your navigation. That's crazy. And speaking of ads, another major red flag is seeing strange, highly intrusive pop-ups on websites that are normally completely clean.
Yeah.
I'm talking about, like, reading a reputable financial news site, and suddenly there's a flashing neon banner ad for miracle diet pills right over the text. The website definitely didn't put that there, right?
No, definitely not. And the mechanism for how that happens is actually fascinating. The extension performs what's called ad injection by manipulating the document object model, or DOM.
Okay, hold on. Let's decode that for a second. What exactly is the document object model?
Yeah. So think of the DOM as the live structural blueprint of a web page. When your browser visits a news site, it downloads the code and uses this blueprint to paint the text here, the images there, and the legitimate ads over there.
Right, it's the layout.
Right. But because the malicious extension lives inside the browser, it has administrative access to that live blueprint. So before your eyes even see the page, the extension intercepts the DOM and effectively pastes its own spammy billboards right over the website's actual content.
So it's vandalizing the web page in real time, right on your screen.
Exactly, and altering your fundamental perception of the internet in the process.
That brings up a massive question for me. If these malicious extensions aren't brute forcing their way past our firewalls, how on earth are they getting the keys to the kingdom?
Yeah, how do they get in?
Right. If they need our permission to install, how do they trick us into giving it? The psychological shift here is what really stood out to me in the research.
It is the defining characteristic of modern cyber threats, honestly. We have entered the era of consensual malware.
Consensual malware.
Yet bad actors know that breaking through a modern operating system's security is incredibly difficult and expensive. Why spend months writing complex exploit code when you could just trick the human being sitting at the keyboard into opening the front door?
Right. Just ask them to open it.
Exactly. They exploit human psychology, specifically our impatience and our desire for convenience.
See, I can hear people listening right now saying, hang on, I'm careful. I consider myself pretty tech savvy. I don't click on sketchy email attachments from unverified princes, and I certainly don't download random executable files.
Sure.
So how does someone who is actively trying to be safe get caught by this?
Because the traps are engineered to catch you in moments of administrative fatigue. Let's look at the most common vector, which is bundled software.
Okay.
Imagine you're working on a deadline. You urgently need to convert a complex Word document into a PDF, and your normal tool just isn't working. You search online, you find a free, highly rated PDF converter, and you download it.
Okay, I have definitely been in that exact scenario. You just want the tool so you can finish your actual work and move on with your day.
Right, and that singular focus is what they weaponize. You launch the installer, and you enter this state of friction fatigue. You just start clicking, next, next, I agree, next, just to get through the setup wizard.
Oh, yeah. We all do that.
But buried in that installer, maybe in tiny gray text or hidden behind a pre-checked box deep in the terms of service, is an agreement to also install a helpful search assistant browser extension.
Ah, there it is.
Yeah. By clicking I agree, you legally and technically consented to the installation. The bad actors are banking on a reality that absolutely nobody reads the terms of service when they're in a hurry.
So they basically piggyback on your legitimate intent. You invited the PDF tool inside, and it brought its rogue roommate along in its luggage.
Exactly.
But what about when people are actually trying to practice good security? Because I noticed in the report that fake update prompts are a huge driver of these infections.
Oh, those are incredibly deceptive because they leverage authority.
Yeah.
You'll be reading a blog, and suddenly the page grays out, and a highly official-looking pop-up appears in the center of your screen.
Right.
It says, critical Chrome browser update required, or your Flash player is vulnerable. The attackers painstakingly match the exact text codes for the colors. They use the identical fonts, the official logos.
That was completely legitimate.
Totally
Yeah.
legitimate. And as a user, you've been trained for years that when your software needs an update, You should do it immediately to stay safe.
So you click the Update Now button thinking you are being a responsible digital citizen?
Yep. But that button is just a hollow shell. Clicking it triggers a script that silently installs the malicious add-on in the background.
Mm-hmm.
They're literally using your desire for security against you.
It's just a web page wearing a disguise.
Mm-hmm.
I also saw that deceptive browser pop-ups work similarly, like a web page that draws a fake Windows system dialog box.
Yes, and the visual trickery goes a step further there. The fake alert might have an allow and a deny button, or an X in the top corner to close it, but the entire graphic is a single, giant, invisible button.
Wait, the whole thing?
The whole image. The moment your mouse clicks anywhere on that image, even if you're desperately trying to click deny to make it go away, the click itself executes the installation.
So you literally can't win if you engage with it.
No, you can't. And then, of course, you have phishing links via text or email, a message claiming your package delivery failed or your streaming account is suspended.
Right, creating that spike of panic.
Exactly.
Here.
You click the link, and it forces a fast installation before the logical part of your brain can catch up. And in every single one of those scenarios, bundled software, fake updates, disguised pop-ups, phishing the computer's architecture, looks at the event and says, well, the user initiated this action. The user clicked allow, therefore it must be safe.
Man, this is where the reality of the situation gets much darker than just dealing with a slow computer or annoying ads. Once an add-on tricks you into letting it inside the browser sandbox, the situation can rapidly escalate into a total security catastrophe.
Oh, absolutely.
The vantage point these extensions have is what really terrifies me.
Yeah, because annoying pop-up ads for cheap sunglasses, that's just the visible surface of the infection. The real threat is what's happening invisibly. Because the extension lives inside the browser, it can monitor your entire browsing history.
Everything.
Every single site you visit, the specific medical conditions you search for, your political affiliations, the products you buy. All of that is packaged up into a detailed behavioral profile and sold to third-party data brokers on the dark web.
But it's not just passive monitoring, right? I mean, they can actively replace legitimate ads with links that download system-destroying ransomware.
Yep, they could do that too.
And the capability that really made me pause, they can capture your usernames and passwords right as you type them.
Let's hover on that password theft for a second, because there is a very dangerous misconception here.
Okay.
Most people assume that if they're on a secure HTTPS encrypted website, they are completely safe. When you go to your bank's website and you see that little padlock icon next to the URL.
Right, the padlock. We've all been taught to look for the padlock.
Exactly. It means the connection between your computer and the bank's servers is encrypted. If a hacker intercepts the signal out on the internet, all they see is mathematical gibberish.
So the padlock means nobody can read my password.
It means nobody outside your computer can read it. But remember the rogue roommate.
Oh, wow.
Right? The malicious extension isn't out on the internet intercepting the signal. It lives inside the browser. It reads your physical keystrokes before the browser even has a chance to encrypt them and send them to the bank.
Oh my God.
It's the equivalent of someone standing directly over your shoulder watching you write in your diary before you lock it in the safe.
So the padlock is effectively a false sense of security if the threat is already inside the perimeter. The encryption doesn't matter because the spy is in the room with you.
Exactly. It completely neutralizes one of the foundational security protocols of the internet.
That is deeply unsettling, and I think it leads perfectly into a specific real-world scenario that the field team at Cowabunga Computers handled recently. We're going to keep the client completely anonymized, but this happened to a user out in Honolulu.
Yeah, this is a classic escalation.
They likely had a malicious add-on installed in the background for a while without realizing it. Then suddenly the escalation happened. Their entire screen filled with a terrifying, blaring alert. It was designed to look like a critical operating system failure, stating, "Your computer is infected with a virus. Do not shut down. Call this tech support number immediately."
And to add to the panic, these fake alerts often lock the browser in full screen mode so you can't see your normal taskbar, and they play a repetitive, loud beeping audio file.
Just awful.
It is pure psychological warfare designed to overwhelm your critical thinking.
Complete panic. So this user, wanting to stop the beeping and save their files, does exactly what the screen tells them to do. They pick up their phone and call the number. A scammer answers, pretending to be a helpful Microsoft or Apple technician.
And they're usually very calm, very professional.
Right. The scammer calmly talks the panicked user through a few steps. ultimately convincing them to download a legitimate remote access tool. And the moment the user hands over control of their mouse and keyboard, it's game over.
Yeah.
The scammer can install actual ransomware, dig through local files, or open the banking tab and drain the accounts.
And what's tragic is that catching the browser hijack early,
Yeah.
noticing that the computer was sluggish a week prior, or investigating a weird search redirect that prevents that nightmare scenario entirely.
It all started with a quiet extension.
Yeah, if we pull back and look at the bigger picture here, it illustrates exactly why the web browser is currently the most heavily targeted piece of software in the world.
Why is that?
Well, 20 years ago, our sensitive lives lived in local folders on a hard drive. Today, think about where your life actually resides. Your banking, your primary communication, your tax documents, your medical portals, private messages, they all live in the cloud.
That's true. Everything's online.
And they are all accessed through a single, narrow gateway, the web browser. The browser is the singular bottleneck for your digital identity. If an attacker can compromise that gateway, they don't need to hack your hard drive. They have everything.
Okay, so how do we fight back? We know how dangerous these invisible hitchhikers are. We know how they trick us to get in, and we know our standard antivirus might be, snoozing on the job. How do we perform a real thorough cleanup and ensure the gateway is actually secure? Let's walk through the action plan.
Good idea.
Step 1, you have to actively audit your environment.
Yeah, you have to pull the appliances away from the wall and look behind them.
Right. So if you are using Chrome or Edge, go up to your settings, usually those 3 little vertical dots in the top right corner of the window, and navigate down to the extensions menu.
Yep. If you're a Firefox user, hit the menu icon and click on Add-ons and Themes. This will bring up a visual list of every single piece of extra code plugged into your browser. You need to scrutinize every single one. If you see an extension you don't recognize or something you don't explicitly remember installing yourself, hit the remove button immediately.
That's the first step, yes. But we have to issue a massive caution here. In the cybersecurity world, we know that simply clicking remove in the browser menu is rarely enough to declare victory against a well-engineered piece of malware.
Wait, why not? If I delete the extension from Chrome, isn't the code gone? I took the roommate's key away.
You took one key away, sure, but you didn't check to see if they made copies and hid them under the floorboards. These malicious programs are engineered for persistence. A removal that seems totally successful on the surface often leaves behind secondary, hidden files deep within the system, or it alters your computer's registry.
Okay, let's explain the registry because that sounds intimidating. What exactly is a registry entry? So think of the Windows registry as the master instruction manual for your entire computer. Every time you turn your computer on, the operating system opens this massive manual to read the instructions on how to boot up, what programs to load, how things should look.
Okay, makes sense.
When a sophisticated malicious extension installs itself, it doesn't just sit in the browser. It sneaks a new line of text into that master instruction manual. That line essentially says, hey, Windows, every time you open Google Chrome, make sure you quietly reach out to this specific internet server, download the extension, and reinstall it.
Oh my, so it's a zombie. You delete it in the browser, you feel safe, but the moment you restart your computer, the master manual commands it to respawn.
Exactly. It's a zombie.
How on earth do you stop that cycle?
This is where you need specialized tools. You have to run a deep system scan with a right. These dedicated tools don't just look for active viruses. They scrub the registry, they hunt for hidden persistence mechanisms, and they pull the infection out by the roots. In that Honolulu case study, the Cowabunga technicians noted that after removing the initial add-on, they had to perform a thorough, deep-dive inspection of the entire system architecture to guarantee no secondary infections or registry traps were left behind.
You really have to be thorough. All right, so let's say we've audited the browser, scrubbed the registry, and the house is finally clean. How do we keep the doors locked moving forward? What are the prevention habits? First, the recommendation is to only use the official channels, right? The Chrome Web Store, Microsoft Edge add-ons, or the Firefox add-on site. Never, ever download an extension from a random pop-up or a standalone web page.
Right. But even within those official walled gardens, you still have to exercise critical thinking. Apple and Google do their best to police their stores, but malicious developers constantly slip things past the automated reviews.
So what should we look for?
If you're looking for an ad blocker, check the reviews and the user count. If a supposedly incredible game-changing tool only has 14 reviews and it was uploaded to the store 3 days ago.
Massive red flag.
Massive red flag. Legitimate, safe extensions usually have Hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of active users and years of version history.
Okay, next habit. Slow down. It's the only cure for friction fatigue. Read installer screens carefully when you're downloading legitimate software. Uncheck any pre-selected boxes that offer to add search bars or helpful shopping assistance.
Absolutely.
And treat any pop-up telling you to install a critical update as highly suspicious. If a web page claims Chrome is out of date, close the entire browser window. Open it back up, go to your Chrome settings yourself, and check for updates manually through the official menu.
That's the best way to handle updates, hands down.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you want to build a truly robust perimeter, especially in a business environment, you need to look at network-level defenses. The field report mentioned utilizing DNS-level content filters.
Okay, let's break that down. I see DNS filtering recommended constantly for small businesses. But what does it actually do? What is DNS?
DNS stands for Domain Name System. It is effectively the phone book of the internet.
The phone book.
Yeah. When you type google.com into your browser, computers don't actually know what that means. They communicate in IP addresses, which are long strings of numbers.
Mm.
So your computer asks the DNS phone book, what is the number for Google? The phone book provides the IP address, and your computer connects.
Okay, so how does a filter fit into that?
A DNS filter sits right at that phone book level, acting like a highly secure switchboard operator. It maintains a constantly updated master list of known malicious IP addresses, scam servers, malware distribution hubs, all of it.
Oh, I see.
So if an employee accidentally clicks a fake update prompt, the malicious script tries to phone home to download the extension. But when it asks the phone book for the IP address of the attacker's server, the DNS filter intervenes.
It blocks it.
Exactly. It says, nope, that destination is on the blacklist. I am refusing to connect the call. The malware can't download, and the attack is stopped dead in its tracks before the browser is ever compromised.
That is incredibly powerful because it takes the burden of perfect decision-making off the human being, and that is so critical when you're talking about shared environments.
It changes the entire risk profile. Because if you are a small business owner with a shared network or multiple computer terminals, your vulnerability multiplies with every single person who touches a keyboard.
Because it only takes one person in a hurry trying to convert a PDF.
Exactly. One employee clicks the wrong disguise pop-up, and suddenly a malicious extension is silently installed on a machine that has direct access to your customer databases, your internal company emails, your payroll system. Yeah. In a shared business environment, periodic professional security audits and network-level filters aren't just IT buzzwords. They are essential for operational survival. You simply cannot rely on every single employee to perfectly spot highly engineered deceptive tactics 100% of the time.
It's an unfair expectation, honestly. Which brings us to a perfect point. If any of this is sounding a little too familiar, if you're listening right now and realizing your computer has been feeling like it's dragging a boulder, or you're seeing weird ads popping up on sites you trust, or honestly, if you're running a small business and you just want the peace of mind of a clean bill of health for your network, you do not have to tackle this alone.
No, you don't. It is always the smartest move to get a professional set of eyes on the architecture, especially if you suspect something has already bypassed your initial defenses.
Absolutely. So if you are a homeowner or a small business owner on Oahu, you can reach out directly to the team at Kawabunga Computers. They are the ones handling these exact scenarios locally, helping homes and businesses with computer repair, managed IT, networking, and IT consulting.
And they really know their stuff.
They do. And the best part is, local techs like Brandon, Steven, Ripton, Cassie, Jose, Kilai, and Elijah are incredibly easy to talk to. They aren't going to bombard you with confusing jargon, and they definitely won't leave you guessing about the health of your machines. You can give them a call at 808-468-44-Winstein. That's 808-468-44-Winstein. Or just visit their website at www.smartcows.com.
Having a local team you can trust is just invaluable when things get strange in your digital house.
Totally.
And, as we wrap up this deep dive, there's one final thought I want to leave you with.
Lay it on us.
Think back to the anatomy of that fake alert scenario we discussed earlier. A tiny, nearly invisible string of code hiding quietly in a browser sandbox was able to perfectly mimic a terrifying, authoritative operating system security alert.
Yeah.
It manipulated colors, fonts, and blaring audio, all for one single purpose: to get a human being to experience fear and dial a phone number.
It's the ultimate manipulation. They bypassed the computer to hack the human.
They really did.
Yeah.
It completely blurs the line between software engineering and social engineering. The code is no longer just attacking the hardware, it's attacking our psychology. And it really makes you wonder, as we navigate our glowing screens every single day trying to be productive, what other warnings, alerts, or urgent notifications in our digital lives are actually just highly engineered illusions, designed by unseen actors to manipulate our deepest human instincts?
Now, that is a heavy thought to chew on the next time an urgent pop-up flashes on your screen demanding your attention. Until next time, stay curious and seriously, go check those browser extensions.